Jai Hind and welcome to Dev Talks. This is Aadi. As you can see, I have with me Lieutenant General PG Kamath, who's going to talk to us about a subject very rarely spoken about, the weaponization of water, opportunities and threats that India carries and has by itself. Thank you, sir, for joining me. This is a discussion that I think we've been planning for a while, but it's an important discussion as per the article that you had written. It kind of gave me a little bit of a scare, so thank you so much for taking the time to explain this entire game to us, sir.
Thank you, Aadi.
So I'd like to ask you, this is a generic thing to come in, get into the topic. The next war will be the water war, and this is something that was said some time back, and we see the scarcity of water kind of taking over, bringing up issues in neighborhood countries. Look at Pakistan, for example. How do you analyze this particular phrase looking at the Indian neighborhood, sir?
Firstly, Aadi, thank you for calling me. The world's population has reached 8 billion already. So far, we are talking of 7, now it is 8. Right from the Vedic times, all civilizations across the world, Mesopotamian, the Chinese, the Indian, Indus, Egyptian, all were on the riverbeds. If water is not there, it's a source of life. Death and destruction of civilizations have taken place. Once river Saraswati, due to tectonic shift, disappeared, the entire Vedic civilization and culture probably moved from the river Saraswati, banks of river Saraswati, to the banks of Ganges. So entire exodus of population, right, not now, from times immemorial, have taken place when the water is not there. Nothing new, everyone knows it, that water is a source of life. It will emaciate countries, it will destroy culture, it will destroy forest, fauna, flora, it will destroy people, it will destroy nations. And also when the adequate water is not there in the rivers, there is a desalination, saline river, seas, water comes into, and the salinity in the soil increases, precipitation won't be there, because there is no attraction, there is no fauna there, flora there. So there's nothing new what I'm trying to say, but to tell you, with the increase in population which our world is facing today, water shortage is a must because we are still do not have water discipline. You have seen some political leaders in our country also giving water free. As a largest, rather we have to cultivate amongst the people to conserve water, and the water discipline is a must for the progress of a country. Telling this, let's see if a water war takes place, it manifests in a different way, different methods. Water is a source of energy, and whenever a country feels that there is an insufficiency in the water for their people, it can do the following thing. It can invade across into another neighboring territory where there is water sources like a river, lake, or part of a river, and capture it and harness this water for its own people. One type. Second is if an upper riparian country has blocked water to you, the lower riparian country may go for a war, capture a territory, and bargain with that country that if you let me have continuous water flow, I will vacate this territory. Is another way a war can manifest. Third way, it can use the water as a weapon in a direct way. As it happened in 1938, in the Sino-Japanese War which took place when the Japanese were trying to capture Wuhan, there was a Kaifeng, there was a dam, and the KMT blasted Kuomintang, which was the ruling government of nationalist China, blasted the entire dam and inundated the Japanese forces, but to a minor level, but 500,000 of its own people got killed. So that is using the water inundate the area of the battlefield, the terrain, in order to obstruct water is one of the waterways. Here, the water is not the cause for war. Here, water is used as a direct weapon of war. The earlier two wars were manifestations or examples I gave was the water is the cause for the war. In the third example, you are using water as a weapon. And fourth also, which water can be used as a weapon is, during the dry season, if you have an upper riparian state, stop the inflow of water into your territory. See that your entire crops are damaged and nothing grows there, and devastate the country, decimate that particular river valley. And again, during the rainy season, probably allow all the waters to come in order to inundate whatever crops is there and then cause floods. If you recollect, in Kinnaur in 2000, the Satluj came in a big flow, destroyed crores of rupees worth of property and 200 were killed. That has been considered as probably a Chinese experimenting on a water bomb on us. Again in 2004, Parichu, a huge reservoir was built by the Chinese on a tributary Parichu. And then it was breached, though this time Chinese did inform us. Large-scale floods took place in Simla and down below the area of the Satluj. So this is the way a direct weaponization of water can take place. Now coming to certain places where, let's take 2017 Aadi, December, entire Brahmaputra had turned black. And the entire aquaculture, the fishermen's livelihood, everything was destroyed by the Chinese without giving a reason why this entire river had become black. It is estimated it was probably experimenting how to take the water from Brahmaputra up to the north. He was blasting his way for making a lining of pipes, and hence it could have happened. And also one more way with the Chinese have already used it on us is, as per our agreement in 2002 and 2005, China is supposed to give us hydro data on the rivers which are flowing, Satluj and Brahmaputra. But during the Dolam crisis, they stopped giving us this data in order to put us in a tenterhooks that will not give you the data if you don't behave. So this is the way, if you really see, water can be used as a weapon. And unfortunately, I will deal with it in your next questions. India has really not been using it to the extent it is required.
So the interesting part that you mentioned at the last of your answer is about, especially when I mentioned it in my intro as well, Pakistan. Pakistan literally survives on the water that goes from India into Pakistan. There's no question about it. And Indians diligently are, following whatever treaties that we had signed. And recently also there was a big news for a day or two which came out about the Indus water discussions that happened at every regular interval. How do you see us not capitalizing on an opportunity that we have? We'll discuss China at a separate this thing, because they are in an upper hand and we are below. But Pakistan, we have an upper hand in spite of them doing whatever they've done to us. We've never used this as a weapon.
Aadi, 100% right. When the Indus Water Treaty was signed in 1960, 80% of the water of the rivers of the entire Indus system, that is the three western rivers, Jhelum, Chenab, and Indus, Jhelum, and Chenab, were given to Pakistan in entirety. And what happened? Other three rivers, which only carried around 20% of our water, were given exclusively for us. So right from the time when Nehru, in his gush of generosity, with the national assets had given Pakistan, and this treaty, unfortunately, is for perpetuity. It's not a time bomb. That is another thing. And the entire Pakistan, all the 5 rivers whichever go into Pakistan are means we are the upper riparian. Only Indus and Sutlej where the upper riparian is China, Tibet. Rest all the rivers emanate from our country. 97% of the water flowing into Pakistan is used for agriculture. And a great part of the hydroelectricity is produced by Mandla Dam on Chenab and Terbela Dam on Indus. So if you really see, the entire lifeline of Pakistan flows through India. In spite of it, India has been so naive in accommodating all the offensive which the Chinese undertake, Pakistan undertakes, without once giving them the threat of the way we can squeeze them in case we want to do by stopping the waters. Now let us see the Permanent Indus Commission, which has been established by both the countries, are supposed to meet minimum once a year. So in these last 62 years, we are supposed to meet 62 times. But we have met 117 times, the last one, as you mentioned, in the March of 2002. We have met means we are ever ready to see that the treaty, because it has been signed under the aegis of the World Bank. In order to please World Bank and Pakistan, we have been adhering to the treaty and we are being absolutely generous. Just you imagine how naive a country's governments, or I'm not blaming any single government, can be. 1960, we signed the treaty. 1965, it went for a war. We told, okay, so what, you are come for a war, but we have to give you water so that you fight the war with us better, isn't it? Then comes the 1971 war, where he attacked from the western side first by airstrikes. We said, how can we stop water to you? Your soldiers, your people need water. And we continue giving the water even without any threats, let alone stopping. Then came the Kargil conflict. Kargil, he came and interdicted your national highway. But our people were so liberal. We kept on giving you water. No, don't talk of water. Water is always yours. You need it for feeding your terrorists, for their nourishment of their families. So we'll continue giving you water. Then the parliamentary attack. He kept on giving. Means this as a weapon which is there with us. Our government of India over a period of time has not even thought to use this weapon in order to coerce Pakistan's behavior towards us. So naive a country can be, ludicrous, that we do not have a national security strategy to utilize all our instruments of national power in order to bend the will of the opponent in pursuit of our national interest. A proxy war has been waged by him for the past 25, 30 years. What have we done about it? Nothing, but kept on giving him water without one threat only when the Uri attack took place. That was the first time Prime Minister Modi said, rather first person to say in the entire country, that the water and blood cannot flow together. Then the Minister Gadkari also said that we should take the Indus Water Treaty as what you call sanctity now. We have to harness the waters of these 3 rivers and give to Haryana, Punjab, and Rajasthan. And for this, there are a number of ways where this treaty in perpetuity can be revoked. There is a convention, 1969 Vienna Convention on Law and Treaties. It's a UN convention. It has come into force in 1980. It says Article 62, If there are fundamental changes in the circumstances, the treaty can be revoked. If you are fighting with me, when we are friends, I made a treaty with you, and you come and keep on fighting with me, that treaty has no significance. Then again, there is Article 61, impossibility of performance of that treaty. You keep on doing terrorist attack against us over and over again, sending terrorists, disrupting our people, killing our people and creating a climate of collapse in our country. But we are telling, no, we'll give you water. How can we stop water for you? Article 75 is also there if there is some aggression and all takes place, where we can rescind and revoke this treaty under this 1969 Vienna Convention of Laws and Treaties and Agreements. So we have to use this as a warning to Pakistan that should you not behave, but it's not easier said than done. Even now, out of our eastern three rivers, we let about 2 to 3 million acre-feet flow back into Pakistan, which we could have utilized fully. So to harness around 180 million acre-feet from the western rivers and getting into these is not easily done. At least you can threaten. At least you can build some hydro infrastructure that in case you do it, first 30 million acre-feet will be channelized. Keep it ready. It will cost you, but it will ensure that the Pakistan will never join anyone and do any hostile activity. Because should it do a hostile activity, we can harness we have the capability and build hydro infrastructure in order to divert and bring back the waters of the western rivers into our region. So even the threatening we have not been able to do. This can really emaciate Pakistan. With Indus and all the rivers flowing, the state of Pakistan, you have seen its economy, its agriculture, its salinity, which has been increasing from that Pakistani Hyderabad and Karachi side. And if we stop this water under legitimate reasons, by giving them a sufficient warning not to interfere with our country's internal affairs. But we have not done it. This country has not done it. Someone has to give me an answer why we are not even threatening. Though Pakistan has said that in case India stops, it's an act of war. So what? Let it be an act of war. Who is afraid of whom at this point in time? So that's what we have not been doing. So I really feel that due to a absence of a coherent national strategy, a fellow is burning you, but you have a fire cylinder here to fight that, but you are not using it because you don't know that can be used, because you do not have a national security strategy.
Indeed, sir. It's quite a sad story when you actually look at it, that we've got such an upper hand that we can literally have Pakistan dancing on our tunes and ensuring that our territorial integrity is safe if we use this little weapon. Let's look the other directions. In the 1950s, when the Chinese took Tibet, I don't know at that time whether the discussion of water actually begun, because Tibet is the biggest source of fresh water in this entire region. What was our thought process then, and how we kind of just not really paid attention to it, to a point, as you mentioned, during Doklam the Chinese took advantage of us?
Firstly, let alone water being a source in Tibet, our leadership at that point in time did not even understand the loss of Tibet. What a great harm to a threat to the nation, direct threat to the nation. That was our state. So thinking that they thought about water war or water resources would be too far-fetched when they could not think of going from when they got their independence from 47 till the Chinese took Tibet in the December 1950. Till that time, we didn't even think of our borders, let alone waters coming across. So that point is not. Now coming to Tibet itself, as you rightly said, China has 22% of the world's population and 7% of fresh water. China is very, very feeling the shortage of water. The Gobi Desert is flowing to the east and desertification is almost reaching Beijing. China will have a great problem for agriculture and foodstuffs in year to come. And there is an uneven distribution of population. About 700, 800 million are on the northern China, and about 500 million are in the southern China. And plenty of water sources in southern China vis-a-vis north. So as far back in 1952, Mao had said in his book that we need to harness the waters of Tibet for industrialization of Tianjin and Beijing. That time, he had said. Then in 2005, when Li Len, one of the professors of Chinese, whatever, the mouthpiece, had written a letter, book, Tibet's water will save China. So they are in for it in order to see. And here Leland mentions that 1,000 kilometers of pipeline from Yarlung Sangpo into the Xinjiang has to be made in order to take the water there and to see that China prospers all around. That was there. Now, Tibet is the home of 6 major rivers: Indus, Sutlej, Brahmaputra, Irrawaddy, Salween, and Mekong. And innumerable minor rivers, all sources in Tibet. They are all flowing into other lower riparian countries, like smaller rivers are Mahakali, Karnali, Saptakosi, Manas, Amuchu. Then Red River also, Upper Subansri, Lohit also a part of it in Arunachal goes, and further Red River in Vietnam. All these have sources in Tibet. In spite of that, not even with one country, China has a water sharing agreement. Can you beat it? With how many? There are 10 lower riparian countries, right from Pakistan, India, Nepal, Bhutan, Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia, Thailand, Vietnam, and Bangladesh. In spite of that, not even one, they believe in that this one is full appropriation of water which is within their sovereign borders. You know, a mighty river, Mekong, has been made into a trickle, literally made into a trickle. There are 7 major dams, and one major dam, Zeowon Dam, its tower, its height is more than the Eiffel Tower. So the water coming to the other Indo-Chinese countries and all, Indo-China means what that Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos is almost insignificant. So Asian Development Bank tried to include and tried to wanted to do a water sharing agreement. But China did not have it and made it a Lachan they call Mekong in there, right? Lachan Mekong River Cooperation Agreement or something, and started giving some money, some pittance out here, and the entire river has been appropriated by China. So if you really see, Tibet is a third pole, which is the third freshwater source of the entire North Pole, South Pole, and the pole of Tibet. So the entire, all the rivers which are there in Tibet are feeding these 10 countries. Nearly it sustains 1.3 billion people. Right from, if you see the 2 Chinese river, Havango, Yangtze-Kizian, also have got their source in Tibet.
Okay.
So Tibet is a tower house, water tower house of the world. And it is so important to us, to the countries of lower riparian countries. So with that, well, let's proceed further. So what is China actually doing? China is what we call, after annexation of Tibet, the annexation of South China Sea, everything he has done. And no agreement with Nepal or India. Only agreement they have with India is the sharing of water hydro data. Data only. That too for which we are paying for it. For Bangladesh, it gives it free. For us, it takes money.
Myanmar also, sir.
Yeah, Myanmar also would be free. So there was a what we call an UN convention. That UN convention on shared water sources. These shared water sources, 1997, it was completely rejected by China. And it told, no, we are not a part of this convention of shared water sources. We believe we assert our absolute territorial sovereignty over the waters in our own area. Means no care, no concern for any other country than its own. Then there is another convention, Aadi, Convention on the Prohibition of any hostile use of environment. That is called the Environment Modification Treaty. Means you cannot modify an environment in order to cause damage to the neighboring country, like what it did in Parichu by unleashing the waters into the Himachal Pradesh and all. Even that, as per the UN Convention, it is banned. So with the China coming into Tibet, actually as a upper riparian country, it holds all the lower riparian country at a ransom. If you really see in tomorrow's scenario, it can probably control the behavior of all the 10 countries except probably India, because India is too vast to be really affected substantially either by Sian River or from the satellite. Rest all it can control completely. So we have to be chary. India thinking a long-term view in 1958 is, I don't think it has ever in the imagination of Nehru and his cabinet ever that water will be a source of conflict in future.
Indeed, sir. And that's something that is amazing to me, that we've not realized the threat and the opportunity that you have in front of us. It's not something which is small. With regards to these treaties, there have been multiple treaties with China with regards our territorial integrity, not doing here and there, but they've broken them all. Similar thing with Pakistan. So India finds itself holding up to these treaties all the time. So the next question, obviously, which a lot of people will get in mind, with Chinese having so much of an advantage over India with regards water in pretty much the entire border length of the country, what are the steps that India can take to counter the aggression and probably give it in some sense or form back to the Chinese as well?
Good point. Rather, thank you, Aadi. In this question, if you really see, I want to add one more thing which China is doing recently, which may aggravate further threat to us. That is in its 14th five-year plan, starting from 2021 to 2025. It has plans to build 11 dams on the great bend of Brahmaputra, Yarlon Shanpur, where the Brahmaputra, which is at the height of 4,500 meters, drops 300,000 meters before it comes to Arunachal Pradesh. And imagine the amount of hydroelectricity it can generate. And if you have put 11 dams in, this is a great canyon, which is greater than the Colorado Canyon. So deep and such absolutely precious, pristine fauna, flora, everything exists out here. This 3,000 meters drop is going to generate so much of electricity, 50,000 megawatts of power, which will have a devastating effect on the entire ecology, because the Brahmaputra, after of 1,500 kilometers, takes a bend at the Yarlang at Namcha Baruwa, a peak of 7,500 meters. one of the easternmost highest peaks of Himalayas in Tibet, takes a bend and then comes into Kepandla, Arunachal. In this bend, as I told you, 3,000 meters drop of such a vast river is taking place. You can see the amount of electricity that would be generated and how much control it will have on Brahmaputra, which becomes river Siand and joins India, comes into India and joins Brahmaputra. In Arunachal, it's known as Siand.
Yeah.
So there are other rivers like Kemeng, Subansri, Lohit, Dibang, and Dubang and Lohit. All these are coming into Brahmaputra. Out of the biggest tributary is Siand, which is, we call it Siand in India, in Arunachal, and then becomes Brahmaputra. So around 33%, to be precise, of water from Siand joins Brahmaputra. So if we adopt, we will be losing around 67% of water. So we will be only having 67% of water in Brahmaputra if all these 11 major dams are built. And just imagine if it stores water and releases all these 11 dams in the rainy season, when Brahmaputra is already inundated, what type of water potential to destroy the entire Brahmaputra Valley and Bangladesh will be in the hands of China. So if you see, it is mind-boggling. One has to, but somehow I don't know what our government is doing. Just asking what you are doing and all will not do. There has to be certain precautions, certain what you call internal arrangements which we have to make, and also external actions which we need to take in order to counter this Chinese unbridled potential to harm us by water as a weapon. Similarly, if all 11 dams are blocked in the summers, the entire Brahmaputra may turn into a trickle because 33% of the water is not there. And that has to be shared by entire Brahmaputra, this Assam Valley, and also the Bangladesh. So there is nothing. I want to ask the government, what are we doing about it, rather than you asking me. I have to ask the government, what are you doing about it, isn't it? So now coming to the nuts and bolts. The entire power of a water as a weapon lies with the upper riparian country. Lower riparian country cannot send water back into what you call. Gravity will not allow it to happen. So if we two are fighting and you are very good in sword fighting and I am very good in what you call, I'm not that good in sword fighting. I don't have to fight with you in sword. I should use a spear or something to fight with you. So we need not fight a water war with China. We have to fight the other conventional wars with China and other unconventional war, the proxy war and all, in order to coerce Chinese behavior so that it doesn't harm us to the water resources. That is, first of all, I've been telling you about this in your own forum number of times, is go and be a good friend of Taiwan and give Taiwan the Agni missiles, the Prithvi missiles, and nuclear technology exactly as China had done to Pakistan. And tell China, should you do anything on this, this will happen more. Open and literally embassy in China and do not say that I do not believe in one China policy. I believe in two China policy because China doesn't believe in one India policy. First, make a solid triangle or for rather 5 countries, Taiwan, Japan, Philippines. They have already joined us. We have given Philippines this was a BrahMos missile. Vietnam and Indonesia and possibly Malaysia join together and see that the entire South China Sea becomes a hostile area for the Chinese to operate. Indonesia has already given us the Sipan port for development. It is just on the mouth of canal. We have got our Andaman Nicobar, all our islands, everything. We can literally constrict his entire trade and oil energy routes. These are the power which you have as a strategic powers. Talk of a South China Sea NATO. Join US, UK, Australia, all these countries, Japan, all are ready to join if you are joining. South Korea has already joined the NATO cyber community. So why are we not doing it aggressively? Ensure that you are in contact with the Xinjiang rebel factions and give them arms, weapon, ammunition, and training. They are just across your Karakoram Pass. Why are you not using the Tibetan card, your Hong Kong card, your Xinjiang card, your South China card, your Vietnam card? We are doing nothing and say, so don't think that you will fight a water war with China, with our waters. No, no. We will coerce his behavior and ensure that he doesn't act against our national interest. By pursuing our interest through different agencies in order to see that he doesn't. So we need not only fight a water war. A water war with a fellow is sitting on top, you can't fight with a sword on him. He has got the domination. No one can stop it. So this is the one thing which we have to start doing, unfortunately. And also, I want the 10 lower riparian countries, leave aside Pakistan, to form an alliance in order to regulate the behavior of China in their cross-border rivers. This is not acceptable that you do full appropriation, adhere to the watershed water courses UN agreement. Why are you not bringing diplomatic pressure on China in order to ensure that the UN Convention on Shared Water Courses is not agreed by China? All 9 countries have joined together. More countries, more diplomatic power, and more we will have the power in the UN. So we do nothing and then say, okay, 16th round of conference, he has agreed. We are going gaga. Oh, 16th, he has agreed. What? He damn well agree. We have got other means to pressurize, which we are not doing. We are sitting naively because we don't have a national security strategy. Yeah.
It's a very hard-hitting points, I must say. And, for those of us who are, a little more bright with regards to this whole India-China talks, we realize that talks are good, but there's nothing that is going to come out of this unless we tighten the screw somewhere else. And
absolutely,
there is no question about it, because the Chinese power, to my mind, is not in their army. The Chinese power is in their economy. The Chinese, the weak spot is in their economy, and it's in their society. And that is what we need to target. It's not this ragtag military that they've got together. So, let's talk about the security policy as far as the last question is concerned. You've mentioned this multiple times within my channel. You've talked about Indian strategic security concerns. There has been a talk about this whole thing coming up into a framework for a long time now. I guess things do take time in India. I mean, the engines are a pretty slow system for them to get into a certain RPM. But, having said that, so what would you like to see in them with regards water and other things that can actually deter our adversaries?
So, Aadi, sorry for mentioning this again. Even if your audience is a little bored up with my same topic, I don't mind. We do not have a national security strategy, I told you. So we do not have, we see what is national security strategy? You identify your political objectives. After identifying your political objective, you break them down into the national interests. To attain this objective, I need to pursue these national interests. Once you have a legitimate government and the people and the government, all of us pursue our national interests. That's our duty. In the pursuit of national interest, we need means. Objectives are there, national interest. Now you need means in order to tackle. That is, any person who is obstructing you internally, it has to be removed. Any country which opposes you externally in pursuit of your national interest, they have to be removed. How do you remove it? Remove it is a very different term, whatever you want to destroy it or so whatever. So what are the means available? A political power formed by a legitimate government through a legitimate election, where the entire willpower of the 1.33 billion people coalesces onto the government. That is the political power. Then you have the economic power. Economic power, your GDP, your growth, your standing, your trade, your maritime, everything comes into it. With this, these are your means. Then comes economic. After economic, your science and technological power. How much of technology you have to build the lives of your own people, build your own armed forces, build your own indigenous technology, so that you have the strategic autonomy to exercise your will, exercise your political power in the world. That is your strategic autonomy. That is given to you by science and technological prowess. Then you have got other smaller software and oil, and all these powers are wielded by the diplomats, by their diplomatic power. They do not apply the power, but they wield the power. Application of power is a political process. Wielding the power is persuasion. Then what we call making them understand, conference, mediation, then coercion, then warning, deliberate warning, and lastly, when everything fails, is the military power. Once military power is used, it has to win. If the military power fails, the nation fails, as I told you a number of times. But in all these powers, there is one more power which we have never used, is the weaponization of water. If you have the weaponization of water and be ready to really, your 2.5 front war threat can be made into a one front war. We just warn Pakistan, should you behave in a way which is inimical to us, should you wage proxy war, in future war with China, should you join them against us, we are stopping this water, we are revoking this Indus water treaty. That much of threat and building that much of infrastructure is enough to keep Pakistan silent and absolutely silent without a word and without any hostile actions towards us. But for that, same doesn't matter. We have to make huge pipes, put them. All what is needed is three days of earthen work, which has to be removed, and the water gushes into Rajasthan, Punjab, and Haryana. So that much of preparation has to be made. May not be entire 180 million acre feet. It can be, let's say, 20 million acre feet you divert, and the entire, you will emaciate Pakistan. That's enough. You say this work which we have made will lie in the same state till the time you become hostile to us. Only then we open the floodgates and remove the water from you. There is no way Pakistan will wage a proxy war. There is no way it will join in a hot war with China. There is no way the terrorists will be sent when the Chinese attack. So entire 2.5 front war will become one front war, provided we have a national security strategy outlining what I have said. or more. There are wiser persons, more matured, more knowledgeable, more strategically illuminated persons put their minds together and then make a national security strategy. Our NSA was given the task in 2018 and still it has not seen the light of the day. Why it is happening? I don't know. Because here it is, as I told you, your house is on fire. You have got a fire extinguisher next to you, but you do not know how to use it and let your house be on fire. That's exactly we are doing. Proxy war has been waging for the past 25, 30 years, and we do not have an adequate answer other than one surgical strikes and one Balakot air strikes. But that has not stopped him. Though it has sobered him down. If nothing is done, what they have done, what the government has done is the best possible. But because we don't have a strategy, we cannot do a better thing. So we have to utilize all our instruments of national power, give them the objectives to pursue in order to see our country grows. This is our own country. We have no other country to go by. We have to see, all of us have to join hands together, our minds together, our wisdom together, our entire potential, mind, body, and spirit together in order to build up this country. We can't have politically vociferous tendencies. This is our country. And if we don't have this country, you know what will happen. See Ukraine, see Sri Lanka, see Afghanistan. 9 examples are there around you, and still we feel thrill in destroying our own country. Though I think I've gone out of topic, but all the same.
No, as a matter of fact, not, sir, because, it's what you're referring to is a larger subject as well, which is pretty clear, because at the end of it, if we have these external threats controlled for us and in a way that we'd like them to be in the world, we can actually concentrate on other things that require our attention. There is just so much more which is happening around, and you're absolutely right. There has to be a threat perception that is put out, and the only thing that I would say, and I heard this somewhere, I'd just like to take this opportunity to repeat it: to become a superpower or a middle power or whatever power that we want to be, we must start behaving like a power first. We can't be meek and soft all the time. There has to be this stick behind, a nice soft hug that our Prime Minister gives to various world leaders. That stick must be seen. And I think what you're saying in terms of the national security policy and a cohesive effort to address these particular issues, especially the water. I mean, the Chinese one is scary, so there is no question about it. When I read your article, it's kind of, it was not a very nice feeling to have, knowing the fact that somebody can actually twist the tail on you in such a bad way. It's something that we must recognize. It's something that we must do. Thank you so much, sir. As always, it's always a enlightening experience to talk to you about. And we've discussed various different subjects, from the world geopolitics to India to China and everything, and now to water. I'm sure I'll be able to dig up a nice, interesting topic for our next discussion. Till then, sir, thank you so much, and Jai Hind.
Thank you, Aadi. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir.